My Ideal Life, presented to you by whoever invented the stereo himself. As you can maybe discern from the photograph, I reside in Heidelberg, Germany. You may be asking yourself, but why? A significant factor pulling me to desire living here is the affordable cost of living. It is approximately 12% cheaper to live in Germany than in the United States of America, according to Blair's blog. I personally perceive it as much cheaper, however, especially on food. Don't get started on that. Residing in Germany costs approximately 13,000 American dollars, but many estimates place it minusculely lower. Germany, we use euros instead of dollars. Dollars is a simpler amount to compare to due to its universality. In contrast to living in Germany, living in an American city tends to cost $141,000 annually. That is according to smartassets.com. According to some personal accounts by residents of larger cities, it can get drastically larger. This fact alone deterred me from living in the United States due to the fact that I would keep significantly less of my wages than if I lived in a German city. I mean, it isn't a fair comparison due to the fact that Germany is one of the most affordable countries in Europe. If you do the math yourself, you can blatantly observe this as true. Along with that, countless credible sources, including Housing Anywhere, feature this fact. But what makes Germany so affordable? Health insurance is mandatory and costs a fair bit, but it covers medically necessary stuff, including but not limited to surgeries. It turns these expensive procedures and essentials into affordable rates. This feature is so heavily raved about in media, articles, and even in the form of jokes in YouTube videos. But let's quickly contrast this system to the one found in the United States. Healthcare is expensive. Meanwhile, the health insurance company is desperately seeking out any minute reason to not fork over some cash for the health of their dying clients. This stark contrast made me feel unsafe in the US and perceive Germany as a safe haven. Speaking of safety, in Germany it is safe and normalized to walk from place to place. There are sidewalks mostly everywhere, as exhibited by this photograph of Heidelberg. I relish in the action of walking. It is one of the most enjoyable pleasures that life has to offer. That is partially why I decided to immigrate to Germany. This normalization of walking also contributes to Germany's affordability due to civilians not needing to own an automobile or purchase gasoline. Vacationing is another pleasure of life I take place in doing. Vacationing in Germany is on average $700 cheaper than in America. This information was provided by Statista and Google Charts respectively. On the topic of traveling, in Germany, you don't need a passport to travel within it. You can even leave Germany and vacation within the European nation without having to get a passport. From my personal experience in the United States, they've always required me to always have a passport on me. Passport is such a hassle for travel that I don't have to worry about in Germany, especially when visiting Germany's various beaches and endless historic sites, such as Neuschwanstein Castle pictured here. And now that I've discussed where I'm living, it's time to discuss who I'm living with. I live with my friends and my pet. But what did I make these people, you may ask? Before I tell you that, I have to tell you some important context. I live in Massachusetts on campus at Harvard University. I chose this college specifically since its amazing reputation precedes the US and would make me appear more qualified for my future job as a physician. This is where I adopted my loyal golden retriever, Argos. It was named after a deceased dog due to his loyalty, playful nature, which I purposely chose. Along with Argos, my high school friend Carsten is accompanying me on my own little odyssey in Germany. We originally met at Shedden Terrace Elementary School and connected instantly with one another. He is relying on me due to his inability to communicate in the German language and lack of aspiration to learn. I personally despise that, but at least he's self-sufficient enough to pursue a career independently from me. He's currently struggling to find his footing as an influencer documenting the German landscape, but for now, he is dependent on me and our fellow roommate's salaries to support his career. Now, you might be wondering, who are these roommates? Well, they are also my friends, but with one key difference. We encountered each other in college. They followed suit with my plans to move to Germany in order to seek out their own successes. They split up responsibilities with me around the house, including but not limited to managing Argos or preparing supper. And before getting a job, I have a tight schedule and such a big band of doing activities I enjoy. I am not just an office food. I like to film and edit YouTube videos, mostly containing information related to biological field. Some videos based solely on the medical field instead. Entertainment, others, gain a continue with game addiction paying friends, watching videos, looking at the service, some experimental games where I do people especially in high school, getting kids at the service. With all these discussions about my current life, you may be wondering, how did I get? I consider the possibility of being many different things before settling on being a physician. There is on refining possible careers by recommending careers based on my personality. Here's just a small selection of the careers they recommended me. These are the ones that I found the most interesting. I picked out the vast majority of these fields are in the medical field. The increase in demand due to a railroad shortage in healthcare workers made it appealing to me. I already stumbled across this information about the shortage from a Boston College article. Similarly, I found out that the high demand caused this field to become the fastest growing industry in the United States due to them. AI, also one consumer industry, uses the fact that human knowledge, thinking, and empathy are needed for the job, as claimed by the U.S. Korea Institute. And according to Reach.com, it's too unreliable, which I wholeheartedly agree with as a person myself. Let's rewind for a second, Devin. Let's talk about the field I was previously interested in. At one point in high school, I yearned for the opportunity to become a medical equipment repairer. I soon came to realize how much I really despised this career. Starting off with the salary, I would be making less than the average person in my own home state. Keep in mind, too, that this is prior to me having my fixation on moving to Germany. Staying in my own home state would have been detrimental for me. Xelazia perfectly represents the salaries for this section. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the average Pennsylvania makes approximately $60,000 a year. The job was also physically demanding. I don't hit the gym and didn't plan to have time, so a physically demanding job would have taken a toll on me. That alone discouraged me from pursuing this career. Just take the sliver of a glance at the cart you have to push around all day. That would have been exasperating, lugging that around for 40 hours a week. This information provided to me by the Bureau immediately sparked my interest in this job. Along with that, the fact that a McDonald's employee in California had similar work hours and made more than this career in Pennsylvania. Keep in mind also that this career requires additional schooling to enter. The job itself is comparable to being a McDonald's employee in the manner that both careers get monotonous after a while. But the actual job itself is like being a dishwasher, store clerk, and warehouse worker all combined. It's similar to being a dishwasher in the regard that both jobs require substantial cleansing of equipment or utensils. The manner in which they clean is also comparable due to the fact that both jobs require non-visible gunk to be cleansed. It's similar to being a stock clerk in the aspect that you may have to take inventory of the equipment or tools and ensure the refined materials are present, just like how a stock clerk takes inventory on supplies and ensures everything is required readily available at a moment's notice. It's also similar to being a warehouse worker in the regard that they both float around hefty equipment or supplies from one location to another, oftentimes needing to cover a substantial amount of distance to deliver the item. Despite the vast similarities between this career and these common jobs, it still requires additional education in the form of the lengthy technology training course or program to become a medical equipment repairer. In Zara, the bare minimum education required is a high school diploma. It also states that technology training is required, but the length of training varies. 2 years of training or college education is expected but not required. In college, you may want to take a course in microbiology and infection. Taking technical and medical classes in college aren't necessary, but they will aid you significantly in this career. Many colleges offer beneficial majors and courses for this career, including, but not limited to, Harvard University, University of Oxford, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, University of California, San Diego, and Cornell University. By researching the colleges for this potential career, I was for the first time exposed to the college that I inevitably went to for my degree. But anyways, let's switch gears to my other considered career, being a dental assistant. In contrast to my previous career, I truly yearned to be a dental assistant even after high school. I have been hooked upon it ever since I first noticed how bad my teeth were due to high silicon consumption. This became my fixation with my teeth was to go unhealthy, one of others being suffering from the same brutal mindset. I know post-death them. But millions of careers have claustrophobic I am, and one of the painful students from dental examinations is always telling us it's cut out with two to three people, and myself, standing it up and quick comes around the post but then to get the supplies, on sounds like reality. At that point, because too crowded slip on stuff. Can't put that past me. Oh, there. That language. Cannabis was something I could not mentally look in. Once the reason is clear, unappealing. This job is unexpectedly similar to being a medical equipment technician, according to Zella. Both jobs include sterilization of equipment tools, movement of equipment, checking of inventory, and medical equipment preparation. Although the movement of equipment is drastically different as a dental assistant, you carry light equipment short distances. The job of a dental assistant also looks very similar to the roles of a receptionist, dishwasher, and rubber down nurse combined. It's like being a receptionist due to both professions having to take inventory, find administrative work, and record the patient records. Receptionists in some dental offices take over the responsibility for the dental assistant. Rehashing how a dental assistant and a dishwasher are similar would be redundant since it's the same exact thing as being a medical equipment preparator. It's also similar to being a nurse. Both professions do the same exact work, including taking X-rays of patients, giving anesthesia to them in rare instances, and giving medical advice to both patients and fellow colleagues, like actual doctors or dentists. This job's salary and benefits like health insurance and dental care make this job easily earn over $50,000 a year in the U.S. The median salary for this job is about $47,000. The average health insurance cost for an employer is around $7,000. This makes working as a dental assistant essentially earning $54,000 in value, with much of that being liquid and spendable. That is a decent, sustainable amount, especially considering it's the nationwide average, according to Zillow. If you went somewhere like California, you'd make significantly more than just $54,000 annually. Also, according to Zillow, the requirements for becoming a dental assistant vary state by state. Regardless of that, most employers expect you to have the bare minimum of a high school diploma. In some states, you need a certificate/diploma in dental assisting. To get this, you need to seek out a college dental assistant program to enroll to. In other states, however, you must be licensed to become a dental assistant. If you are in a state with less harsh climates, then earning the $47,000 annual salary should just be a breeze. This made me consider going into this career as there was no prior time commitment to college. You only need to graduate high school. But I've learned to embrace college with open arms, noticing how vital it is for careers like this one, regardless of its requirements. According to Parallel Health, some colleges enabling you to succeed and increase the likelihood of employment in this education-bearing career are Clearfield County Career and Technology Center, Great Lakes Institute of Technology, Pennsylvania College of Technology, Penn Foster Career School, and Central Pennsylvania Institute of Science and Technology. Speaking of colleges, I was indecisive between two, Harvard and Stanford. When looking at the two, I heavily considered exclusivity, knowledge given in classes, niche grades, number of credits required, and either the college itself or one element they heavily boast about. The requiring of a GPA doesn't matter to me, but it aids me in determining its true exclusivity along with its acceptance rate. Both colleges have a nearly identical acceptance rate and have accepted some low GPA holders. It lets me that these universities focus more on character and utility rather than entirely academic. That in itself isn't fantastic as it aligns with my personal beliefs. Both colleges also scored an A+ ranking on niche. The aspects of the college that weren't A were just unnecessary to the learning experience. Here's a Venn diagram comparing the two colleges based on these facts and Zello facts. The last two elements really seal the deal for me, choosing Harvard over Stanford, along with its ranking being the best in biology. Why should I have to settle for a college education that isn't the best, especially since I was attempting to become a physician at the time? As well as that, Harvard is slightly more affordable, with the education being more tailored to my desires than Stanford was. And do I regret it? Of course not. My experience there was impeccable. I met lifelong friends there. Molecular biology with Rachel Gardner was one of my favorite classes, solely due to the topic being lectured and the mere presence of my fellow scholars and friends. A few of them actually went on the endeavors to live in Germany. Along with them, some of my roommates also went on that tour. The dorms themselves were amazing, spectacular. There was a lack of complaining. I didn't look at the responsibilities. It was spacious. To me, it felt like a mile, but in reality, it was more like 200 or so and a bit, 9 people. The dorms themselves and study areas involved to promote a culture of sharing knowledge and discussing academics with others. I contributed to the culture by creating various study guides and videos that recap and retold what the professors lectured to us for my fellow kids, some of them who were absent during those lectures. I then published these videos to my YouTube channel, which in turn kickstarted it and brought it to this higher level. Something that was great, if not better than the culture, was the food. The food was excellent. I could ramble on and on about it. It deserved a dramatically better rating on Michelin received. If it's possible, I would have given it way above an A plus tier. Not to mention that me and the other undergraduate students got to eat for cheap due to our guaranteed unlimited meal plan. Assuming, of course, they properly utilized it like me. I once thought it was optional because some students didn't have it, was complaining. I've been examining Harvard's website to see that all undergraduates get this plan mandatory. They cannot get rid of it. Although for people who aren't undergraduates, it's not mandatory. But something that should be mandatory is taking some time to look at the campus's architecture. It's nothing short but magnificent. Even though some of the buildings were built in the 1700s, they still stand tall and stunningly. That reminds me of something. My career as a physician, it's still standing tall, even with AI's rapid advancement. But before we get into that, we have to talk about my job as a physician. Right out of college, and I chose this career. Despite having the education of a physician scientist, I would work as a physician mostly due to the higher demand for them in Germany. But lower demand for it meant a lower wage, which I really wasn't too fond of. And even before I moved to Germany, I knew that I wanted to be a physician while using my scientific expertise to make YouTube videos. You may be asking about the journey it took for me to finally land on the career of a physician. It all stems from my interest in biology and the biomedical field as a high school freshman. The intricacy of the human body and the simultaneous working of each system was intriguing to me. This curiosity and interest is what led me to deciding I want to work with the human body. Narrowing my choices down to one in each field is quite simple. I didn't want to be specialized in one system or one small key in the human body. I wanted to either work in healing or studying these systems. Being a surgeon was immediately off the table due to my economy's jittery hands. My accuracy with making incisions would be high due to its articulation. Making a mistake, even a minor one, is stab may have dire consequences. As we've recently discussed, the wages of being a scientist is considerably lower compared to other jobs of similar education in Germany. They on average make $65,000 according to academics.com compared to the potential salary of a physician being $100,000 or higher for head positions according to the NHI. That left me with either the option of becoming some sort of physician or a dentist. As you already know, dentistry was an appealing to me, so I decided to become a physician. But what does this career look like, you may ask yourself? My career entails diagnosing patients' ailments and issues. It also involves consulting other healthcare professionals on a daily basis and offering treatment or assistance to patients. filing prescriptions, keeping medical records, and educating patients on their health, and calculating test results are just a few jobs that physicians have to do. The average amount of hours of a physician has to take on in a week is 51.4 hours. That in itself is a lot of time. It's over 8 hours a day. Because of these longer work hours and variety of jobs, the everyday work never looks the same as the last. Physicians are needed everywhere because people are always get injured. A utopia in which people simply don't is impossible for humanity to achieve. That is why they are given long work hours. They are always needed everywhere. And this necessity for them is why I like to call them heroes without capes. Even with the advancement of artificial intelligence, humans are required to take on this monumental job still. AI is used as a tool by physicians, however, with its advancement, the job also advances further. But don't just take my word for it. Take the word of Mitchell Goldenberg. He has a PhD and works in the medical field, specializing in the urinary system of humans. He claims, and I quote, as doctors, we tend to focus on the disease state and symptoms that a patient is describing. A huge potentially unmet need is how AI can help us really understand the patient in front of us, for their context and background. Along with having the security of always having a job, physicians get paid pretty well regardless of where they are. In America alone, unspecialized physicians make an average of $357 annually, although this varies heavily in other countries due to cost of living differences, but the trend of physicians making significantly more than regular working class citizens is common. This job is very telling about the people who are working in it. Physicians are widely considered honorable, selfless, empathetic, humble, respectful, hardworking, and responsible. Currently, my main goal is to become a head physician where I work. I already have most of the qualifications, but need more time and experience. My goal also is to buy a BMW 1A. This goal is unexpectedly much closer than one would think. Once I become a head physician, I will easily be able to buy this car, especially since many other head physicians tend to buy luxury cars such as BMW. I mean, just feast your eyes upon this beauty. It looks futuristic. If you had to visualize a car from Utopia, this would be likely the car you saw. I previously mentioned how I decided to do YouTube on the side. My goal associated with this is to receive my golden plaque, which is attained by reaching 1 million individual subscribers to your channel. Currently, I am seeing around 100,000, which is nothing to sneer at. My channel is expected to go with my career as a physician. Another goal of mine that I aim to accomplish is to start a family in a decade. If I'm unable to find a partner, I would like to just adopt a child. By then, I should have enough money to live off of. By then, I will likely have enough money and time to properly raise the kid. I will also probably have settled down by that time. That truly is one of the most important things to me in life, my family. I want to inspire my kids to follow their dreams rather than trying to make me proud. Roy Schwartz once taught that, and this made me rethink that aspect of my life and adopt it. I want to pass that down for generations and instill it into my kids. Goodbye.